Now we can just go along and make some changes inside our settings view. So let's just go inside our settings view, and this would be particularly easy. What we are just doing is that instead of all those rectangles that we have for our label, basically this upload profile image, we could now use a curvy rectangle. So this is our shape only that we defined, and we are using it inside our user profile a lot. So I thought that we should do something similar here as well. So for width, let's give it 180 pixels. For height, let's give it 150 pixels. So for the foreground color, it should have color of UI color, and it can have primary yellow something. Then we can give it an overlay, and this overlay would actually have the text property here. We can remove this thing from here, we don't need it anymore. This text property would have a foreground style of black, then it would have a font which would be a custom font that should be fonts.bold, and the size should be 18 pixels, so that is there. Then we can have some padding, and then we can have a clip shape. I don't think so we need a clip shape here, so we can remove that. So this is our curvy rectangle completed. Now what we would do is that we can just copy this thing out, remove these extra spacing. Now you can go inside our select a profile photo button, because I feel like that also would need this thing. So we can remove the text from here, we can paste it here, we can remove the custom button style, remove this extra spacing, copy this entire thing again, and for the sign out we would need this again. We could keep the color different, so let's do it mid gray or something and white, and we can just remove the sign out from here. So right now we had 3 buttons and we have added our curvy rectangle there. Let's just see how does the view look now, and we could make some more changes basically. So I was thinking that since we have an image picker photo, what we can do is that we can club 2 of them together in an edge stack or something, and then we can have the third one lying around as, like, at the bottom part. So let's just first see how does it all look, then we can decide on whether or not we need that feature. So okay, while it's building, how about we go here, we add one edge stack. The edge stack would ask us that we need to add this here, and again it threw us this error, which is very weird because I'm not quite sure why is it happening. So let's just cut the app again, paste it here, add some spacer here. Let's just give this edge stack some sort of a padding. So this is there. Let's do command R, run the app again and see if it's happening again or not. And if it happens again, we will surely just search the error up, because like it's creating some issues. This works fine now. Not really sure why is that error happening. Here we have update profile image and select a profile photo. What we could do is that it's too much yellow, so update profile image can have neon yellow and this can have maximum yellow. So let's just go and see to it, and hopefully it does not throw the error again. Let's do command K before it builds. So okay, this loads fine. Let's go to settings. This seems fine to me. Now what we can do is that, okay, neon yellow and maximum yellow are the same color, by the way. So this is a new finding. I'm pretty confused, was it like this? So let's just select a profile photo, and we select a profile photo. This comes up like this. Not really the best way to show it, so let's just go inside the else condition. What we can do is that we can give it a width of like 180. Now I can run it again and see if it looks better. So that is there, and I'm still not sure about that. crash that is happening. I guess some API call that Firebase is trying to fetch our user and then it happens. So that purpose you would actually need to check here in Firebase once, like, oh, how's the user behavior like. So that is one thing. I feel like the crash will happen right now because it's taking too long to. Okay, so it did not. Let's go to settings. Let's select a photo. So it would be suppose this, and it looks better than ever. I would say update profile images there. So right now you can just go back. I don't feel like testing that functionality out. Now what we need to do is that we need to make our post, yeah, adaptable to the, the larger size. So basically what we can do is that we can go to post view cell. Now post view cell would actually take in these as parameters. So basically we would give it of type CG float and we won't give them any values basically. Now according to the post view we would actually have to change some of the properties as well. So this is one thing, and then we have a progress view with width and height. This seems fine. Then inside of here we would also pass in the width and height, so no hard coding required. So not width but height, this is there. Now let's just see, fade duration and everything remains the same. Then we have a text. What we can do is that inside our size 42, what we can do is we can have width multiply by zero point 0.2, so that would make it dynamic in nature. So according to the width the font size would change here. This seems fine. We again need to pass in the width and the height and not just hard-coded values. Now let's go inside this budget block, and the budget block this time it's way shorter than the other text. So this time we will multiply it 0.02. So this would make it pretty much doable. Now here we can have width multiplied by 0.3. So this is there. Now what we can do is that we can do we can just move forward, and similarly for ratings, I think ratings is a very small text, so what we can do is that we can have with 0.02. So or we could do 0.05 also, and it could make the size a bit big. And here for all those 18 numbers, what we can do is we can have 0.07, and we can just copy this thing out and paste it wherever we are using 18 font size. So that should actually make it compatible. So this was one of the things that we need to do. Now let's just go inside our URL section. We can paste it here, we can paste it here and here again. Now I'm just quickly checking. Then what we can do is that what we can do now is that for font size best cafe caption, so we have one more font size to work with. So for width we can have star 0.03 or something, and here we would have width and height, so that is there. Now let's pass in width and height again. Now what we can do is that for this we would have width times 0.03, and for 12 we would have again width times 0.03 here. For 22 we could have width times 0.08 or something. So that seems fine to me, and I feel like that was it. We don't really need to change any more values. And let me just quickly go over what we would need to do is that we would need to make our posts view cell also compatible. So here what we can do, again we would add two properties. That would be width, which would be of the type CG float, and that would be height, which would be of the type CG float. So this is there. Okay, that makes sense. Now what we can do is that instead of size 40, first of all, let's just pass in the width and the height values. So okay, we're starting with this. We can pass in the width and the height, which would not exactly be this. I think for this we can multiply it. Oops, we can multiply it by 0.35 or 36. So this is there. Also, we can multiply height times 0.35. So this is there. Now you can remove this. You can just copy this thing out, paste it here, and you can just copy this thing out from here as well and paste it here. Now for the size 8, we can pass in a width. This width would be 0.02, and again there is 8, so let's just pass it there and here as well. Similarly for here, and there's some width for 80 pixels, so I'm just thinking that should we have can we make it 0.04? Will that look better? I was thinking. So yeah, this is there. For the size 80, what we can do is that we can have the width value times 0.4, and the height value is a bit bigger, so it could be times 0.6, and similarly we could paste this here as well. So this way it's totally dependent on the width and the height values. Width times 0.04, and width could be width and height could be height. This seems fine. Do we need to change the rotation effect and all? We could have width times 0.3, and we can have negative of height times 0.25. So okay, this is there. Now what we would do is that for the size, we have added it here. This seems fine to me. The budget text, let me just quickly go over this whole thing. The budget text looks fine. What else is left? So we did had size 40, that could be width times 0.25. So this is there. Is there any other value being left? I don't really think so. So now what we can do is that we can just run the app once and see to it that it's working fine. So let's just quickly, okay, it's causing us issues that it needs width and height parameter. This seems fine. Let's just pass in width, and we can pass in height as height. Now try running the app again. So this time what it would happen is that in the home feed view, it should give us some errors, and it should ask that we need width, which would be UI screen dot main dot bounds dot width, and subtracting 30 points from it. And for the height, let's give it UI screen dot main dot bounds dot height, and what we can do is that we can divide it by 3.5, or just 3 should also work. So it doesn't actually, okay, it doesn't actually catch UI screen. It's because it's in UIKit. So this is there. Now it should ideally work. Let's try running the app again. Oh wait, it's screen, my bad. So yeah, this is there. Now let's just try running the app again. It should show us one more error at this general user profile view, and also at the post view, I believe. So here what we can do is that the width property would actually be UI screen dot main dot bounds dot width divided by 2 and subtracting 30 points from it. Then we have the height property, which should be like 200 pixels, which was working fine for us. So this is there. We can copy this out, call it again, and see if anything else is there. So there's our user profile view which was left. Now let's try running the app and see if anything else is there. Okay, it's not. So let's just see how does our view come out to be, and hopefully it looks fine. Let's just see to it. And then what we can do is that we can just um, we would need to do one more thing basically, and that includes adding a completion handler to, okay, this looks way better, I would say. So it has the post and everything. It's perfectly balanced. It has a good size. Let's go to home feed. Let's just see the home feed. This looks kind of good to me. We could make it a bit longer also, I would say. I mean, let's go inside our, what did I just did? Did I just switch off my simulator? Okay, that's interesting. So can I just, okay, open this up? Yep, this seems fine. Inside the home feed, where we have the for each, how about we give it some spacing, and this spacing would be like 10 pixels, and here also we would divide it by 2.8, so we give it a little bit more length to breathe in. Otherwise we can just work with that also. I found it kind of cool only. So that is there. Let's just quickly see how does our UI changes look. So let's just go inside the home feed, and this looks fine to me. We could okay, so this post is coming out here. We have this post, we have the sushi post, and yep, and then we have the movie post, and there must be other pictures here. This looks fine to me. This looks all well and good. So yeah, this is there. Let's see what the best cafe image is here. I think there's no best cafe image. This was our test post, so it would keep on loading and would never load up. So this is a nice home feed, I would say. You could make it better. You could have that same grid as we have inside our user profile as well. That also looks fine to me. But then that way you would need to make a lot of API calls and store a lot more posts. So that could actually become heavy on your app until and unless you have a good caching mechanism implemented. And that could be done using some third party API or any other service, but we would not dwell into it right now. So caching is one thing that you could study on your own, I would suggest. And otherwise this would all work fine. Either you could use UIKit implementation, so that way what you can do is that you could use reusable cells, and that becomes really light on your device. So that is one simpler way to go about it. So now what we would do is that inside create post view, first of all let's go to the main view model. What I was thinking is that let's just add a function. What I would show you what the issue is. So basically we select an image here. Suppose I select this image, we type in something, and we go back, and now when we go back again it still stays there. So this is not ideal, right? How about we just write a cleanup function. We say clean up create post view. What it would do is that create post view, and we can make the P capital. What it would do is that we would use all these properties. So we'll use shift and option. Okay, we would use shift and option, and we can copy these all values out here. And we can, what we can do is that we can assign it nil. We can assign this empty value. We can assign it empty value as well. We can assign this one empty value as well. So we are just clearing out the properties, which is one way to do it. The other way was that you could create a struct while inside the create post view, and that way you can actually work with these values and need not to this is okay, need not to do that. You need not to write this function, but I'm doing that, so this is fine. What you can do is we can do control I, clean up create post view. Let's go inside create post view. What happens is that on appear, basically we don't have an on appear function here, so we could write that. Let's write an on appear function, and it would call view model dot clean up post view, and that way it would just refresh the values up. This is one thing that we needed to do. Then what we need to do is that inside our function, which is upload image and create post view, we would actually need to add a completion handler here. So let's do that, completion, and it would be of the type escaping, and it could just have, it could just have a boolean value or something, and it could return us void. And what we would do now is that we can use this completion. I hope the spelling is correct. Okay, so the completion is here, and inside of here we were returning true and everything, but now what we can do is that we can what we can do is that we can either remove this functionality from here. We don't need it. We also don't need a completion handler, and we don't need a boolean return type. I don't think so it's needed anywhere, so we can remove this from here as well. Now let's just see if it's throwing us some error. Guard body must not fall through. Obviously it must not, so we can just return from here. So this is there. Let's just go inside our create post view, where we are awaiting for this function call. The moment it does, we can just exit out from the view. So this would be a good functionality, and hopefully we still see our alert box. So let's just run the app and make a post and see if it's working or not. So basically what we are doing here is that the moment the upload image and create post function finishes up, we would just dismiss out the view on our own. But now one thing to notice is that what happens when we can just add something like this image. We can call this dogs. Playlist could be anything. Budget would be about $100. So safety is 5, transport 5, cleanliness is 5, nightlife is 5 again. And we can select some stay image, and for that what we could do is that, okay, have I used all of my images? So this is there, new. Let's select one more image. Let's select this clouds again, and let's call it green. Must carry things would be life jacket, something like that. Make a post. Now it's awaiting, and ideally it should show us the alert box as well, and at the same moment it should actually dismiss from the view itself. So that is a big thing. Okay, so I feel like this is a good feature. You could see that the button looks kinda okay, and I mean not really that good. So what we can do here is that inside our success case we have title success. Let's search. I think we have it at only one place. We could use color. We can have UI color dot game green, so that could make it look better. So yeah, this is our post functionality completed. Now we have 4 posts in total. I'm sorry about the yep, this looks good to me. So you could add some more spacer here, so this could look better. So okay, it gives us some sort of an error which says cannot use. Okay, it cannot use a UI colored like this, so makes sense. How about we can do this. We can add a UI color dot game green, so this should work like that. Now it says consecutive. Let's see to it. We don't need this extra parenthesis, so let's just remove that. This seems fine. So the posts are loading. What we can do is that we can go inside the user profile view, and inside user profile view, after the scroll view, let's add a small spacer here as well, so it give it some space to breathe. So frame, Then we give it a height, and that height would be 70 pixels. So that is there. Now I feel like our app is like almost close to completion in terms of all the functionalities that we wanted. So now what we can do is that we can move forward and implement an in-app purchases into our app. So we'll register app onto the App Store Connect, and then we would implement in-app purchases. So that would be a fine thing to do. And you could obviously create more users and see how do they come out to be. So that is one thing to check on their own. I would just leave that to you for now. So our Kurapika still does not have a picture, so that is sad. So we could do that with a new ID we can create. So that is there. Now we can just close this out, and in the next few videos we would actually learn how to implement in-app purchases using Apple Store Kit API. And then what we can do is that we can submit our app to test flight. So we'll archive the app and everything, prepare screenshots, and what all things are needed in order to push your app to test flight. We'll work on that. So I hope to see in the next video. And obviously I will make sure that I would add some supporting videos for some topics that were quite difficult to understand. So that is one thing that I also need to do. I hope so that so far in the course you have learned a lot of new things. We have worked with UIKit, we have worked with SwiftUI, custom alert view controllers, custom shapes in SwiftUI, making API calls, working with Firebase, updating get requests, post requests. So authentication is also there. So lots of things we have covered in this course. So again, I would actually um, like that you can just ask your doubts in the comments if you have any, and if you don't, that's really good. And okay, so I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you.